Question 3. An activity at an inflatable park involves a visitor lying on a large airbag. A member of staff jumps down onto the airbag and this causes the visitor to fly through the air and land in a ball pit. And for 3 marks, you're asked to use your knowledge of physics to comment on the principles of how the activity works. This is an open question and you look first of all for the clues. What topic is it discussing? In this case, you can see that if the staff member jumps and lands onto the airbag, then the airbag is going to compress here. It means that the volume is going to go down, which means the pressure is going to go up in the airbag, and that pressure is transmitted to the visitor, and that underneath the visitor's back, you're going to have a high pressure. And we know that pressure equals force over area, so if it's going to be a force applied to the visitor. And we know that when a force applied over a given time, that's an impulse, which is going to result in a change in the visitor's momentum. And if the momentum is originally 0, the visitor is now going to have a velocity launched into the air like a projectile. And the visitor will follow a projectile motion through the air. So you can mention that as well. The opposite happens when it lands in the ball pit, because when you're landing down on something, you have to make sure that the time of contact of your land is longer so that the average force is going to be smaller, and that's all tied up with the impulse equal to the change of momentum. So we can summarize the whole thing that's happening here with the following. We can first of all say the staff member jumps onto the airbag, which causes an increase in the pressure under the visitor, and a sudden increase in pressure causes a force under the visitor, and that force we know is equal to the pressure times the area. So we know the visitor is going to experience a force, and this force acting over a time interval will cause an impulse to the visitor, and we know that the impulse given to something is equal to a change of momentum, so you've brought that equation in. And we know that the change in momentum results in the visitor having a change in velocity, which makes the visitor a projectile. She or he is launched straight into the air and therefore follows the trajectory of a projectile. You can include that as well. And then you can make in the last comment on landing, the ball pit increases the time the visitor is brought to rest, and this change of momentum over a longer time of contact reduces the force on the landing. So if you get all these points in here, you have really made a good description of what's happening, and it all rests on a couple of equations you can put in. You can put in that pressure is equal to the force over a given area, so therefore you can say that the force given to the person is the pressure at the person's back times the area, and we know that a force acting over a given time, Ft, which is going to be what we call the impulse, is going to lead to a change in momentum, mv minus mu, and that's going to be the change of momentum. And you can see that if the person was originally at rest, then you can see that the mu is going to be equal to 0, and therefore you're going to have the following situation. You're going to have that the Ft is going to equal to simply the mv, the final velocity, and therefore the final velocity depends on the force given to the visitor over a given time. And the same thing happens on the way back down again. You can explain what happens here when the visitor lands in a ballpark. Why a ballpark? A ball pit, sorry. The ball pit will increase the time of contact or increase the time where the momentum is reduced, and that must means if the momentum, which is always the same, and you have a longer time, you have a smaller force, which is a lot safer for the young person landing in a ball pit. So you can go to town on that wee part there, and you can easily make up a lot of the 3 marks by just giving in that little patter there, and there's a sort of kind of summary of what you would say.